The biggest weapon at my disposal is my own story. Sharing it and being vulnerable can actually push them to kind of seek help as well and have the same journey that I had, which I'm really thankful for. Hi, I'm Ron. I've had anxiety ever since I was in secondary school, and it progressed into OCD after junior college. It actually started in my PSLE years. I received a grade that wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and that created a lot of anxiety in me because I've kind of felt that I had to choose my future. During my secondary school years, it kind of progressed into full-on anxiety. I had all these minor things that I did. If something was off by a few degrees, I really felt a strong urge to correct it and make it either 90 degrees or 180 degrees. At that time, I didn't really think that it was anything much. Apart from that, it was really a lot of social anxiety. I remember this incident, it was the night before a school camp. What happened was that I was so anxious and so dreadful of going to the school camp the next day that I really couldn't sleep. So in order to distract my mind, I actually went to the toilet over and over again, despite knowing that there wasn't really much inside my bladder. And as a result, it kind of became a habit for me to go to the toilet whenever I was anxious. This whole habit, this whole ritual, it was quite destructive on my life. It became so bad to the point where sometimes I would go up to 20, 25 times a night. At a point in time, I didn't even realize that what I had could be considered OCD. What I felt was that I was perfectly normal. I guess a huge barrier on my path to seeking help was a kind of stigma that I gave to myself first. I didn't know that what I had could be considered OCD. I just thought that it was just a self-control problem. A lot of people have this stereotype of OCD as people who are obsessed with cleanliness. And of course, that is the classic example of OCD. But really the fact is that OCD can be about anything. I had this really bad habit of replaying social situations in my head, and I was thinking to myself, what could I have done? Should I have said this? Should I have said that? Do these people actually like me or not? Are they really judging me? So I'll be at the void deck for up to 2 to 3 hours, and I'll just replay these social situations in my head. I would lose up to 3-4 hours of sleep every single night. It was quite a painful experience, and it affected my focus, my concentration at work, my studies. So in year 1 of university, that was actually by chance I came across this Instagram post on my Explore feed about OCD. So that was when I realized that what I had kind of fit all of those boxes. So I kind of suspected that I had OCD. I didn't self-diagnose or anything, but I kind of was like, this post is really reflecting what I was experiencing at that point in time. So I realized that I had to seek help. So I actually sought a GP first, and the GP referred me to the polyclinic counsellor. And that was when I went for weekly sessions with the counsellor and kick-started my journey into seeking help. And I was officially diagnosed with OCD in year 1 of university. During those sessions, I actually received a lot of help from them. They kind of taught me coping mechanisms and tips to deal with my anxiety. And also I was prescribed medication as well to help with the anxiety. I guess my mum has been really supportive. Initially, I kind of didn't want to tell her because I didn't know how she'd respond. After a while, she kind of noticed, and after that, I actually told her that I had OCD. In fact, she was really empathetic and sensitive about it. After I was diagnosed with OCD, it actually felt like a huge sense of relief. A lot of dots were connected, and I realized that I was doing the things that I was doing because of a mental health condition, and not because that I was lazy or because I had low self-control. I had this perception that counselling or therapy was really expensive until I went there and I realised that they had quite good subsidies and that it was affordable. Sometimes I ask myself, if I had sought help earlier, would I have dealt with my social anxiety well? After a few months of going for the sessions, both my general anxiety and my social anxiety decreased significantly. So during my sessions with the counsellor, she taught me stuff like coping mechanisms, tips on how to calm myself in situations where I would otherwise feel like panicking. She also taught me various tools from CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. It actually helped me to fact check a lot of these, what they call unhelpful thoughts. So despite all of that, I need to give a lot of thanks to my friends. In fact, they were really supportive and really empathetic about it. When I had this system of communication in place, my relationship with my friends was actually a huge factor in my recovery. I could feel that they weren't judging me. Even if a conversation didn't go a certain way, I realized that they didn't use it against me. It was really kind of the first time that I could feel like I could connect to people. Around year 2 of university, because of my journey with social media and how it actually led me to kickstart the journey of recovery by giving me more information about my condition, I realized the power of social media in developing awareness about mental health. So that's when I realized that I wanted to kind of replicate this journey through the power of social media. So that's why I actually created an Instagram page called Mental Health CEO that's designed to destigmatize mental health conditions, raise awareness of mental illnesses, and kind of also give a little bit of self-help tips along the way. In some sense, it really helped me. I actually received a lot of positive messages, a lot of kindness, a lot of love. In fact, I've received the most love in my life from Instagram, I'll put it that way. Because it is a kind of a sensitive niche, a lot of times I receive comments which aren't very positive. Sometimes it can be quite rough on my own self-esteem also. What actually keeps me going is the fact that I know that my post does help a lot of people. By being there for people, it does give me a huge sense of satisfaction. With all that being said, in the end, I'm actually not a mental health professional. What I am is a creator, what I am is an advocate. At the end of the day, as I reflect on it, really the biggest roadblock that I faced was believing that what I was feeling wasn't a condition at all. And that for some reason I believed that everyone was having the same anxiety I had. So I bottled everything up, I thought that everything was normal. When in reality, the more I talk to people, the more I realized that what I faced was not normal at all. And so it did deserve help. To me, when people use the word OCD, I feel that we should be really cautious about the phrase. I am not too bothered by it, but because I know for a fact that a lot of my other friends do feel offended by the wrong usage of the word. Stuff like when people say, oh, I'm so OCD, when they just mean that maybe they're a little bit perfectionistic. That being said, I was also cautioned against being aggressive towards people who use these phrases. I have been called out for using the phrase, oh, I'm so OCD, when I do in fact have OCD. So before you call someone out, it would be good to kind of know more about their intentions behind using the word. Honestly, there's a lot of institutions, there's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of platforms that offer help and resources to those who need it. I'm really thankful for platforms like Beyond the Label for being there to kind of spark this kind of conversation, ignite this kind of discussion for people with mental health conditions. And I think for BTL especially, I really like how they are not afraid to talk about specific conditions. So stuff like OCD, conditions which are a bit more taboo, like Beyond the Label isn't afraid to go in and clear out the stigma behind these conditions. Mental health conditions are health conditions, and they're equivalent to physical conditions as well. How I compare it to is that we seek a doctor even if we have minor issues like having a cold, having a headache, but the goal of that is to prevent it from progressing into a more serious problem later down the road. And it's the same thing with mental health. Even if you don't think that they're serious enough to warrant medical attention, I would still recommend seeking professional help because you don't know what you'll pick up along the way.